Remember the story of the children of Israelites in Genesis, where they were slaves in Egypt and how God sent Moses to Pharaoh to demand for their freedom, and how Pharaoh didn't listen and God had to send the 10 plagues. Well, imagine if the story and the 10 plagues had happened in the 21st century, like in 2024. How would it have been? Who would be Pharaoh? Who would be Moses? How about the children of Israel? What would be the 10 plagues? Well, here is the story in this imagination, and I hope you enjoy it. See you in the comments. In the heart of a bustling city called New Helos, there lived a man named Marcus Gray, the ruthless CEO of Grey Corp. Among those who suffered under Marcus' grip was a community of factory workers led by a quiet yet principled man named Moses Finch. After witnessing the death of his friend, Josh, due to Grey Corp's neglect, Moses decided that enough was enough. It's midnight in Moses' small, dimly lit apartment. He sits at the edge of his bed, his hands clasped together, staring at the photo of Josh on his bedside table. He whispers to himself, "I failed you, Josh. I stood by and did nothing. But you know what? Not anymore." Suddenly, the room fills with an air glow. A figure appears cloaked in white, its voice calm yet commanding. "Moses Finch," the figure said, "the time has come to free your people from their chains. Speak truth to power and justice will prevail." Moses was trembling. He stuttered, Who are you? Why me?" The figure replies, "You are the voice they need, Moses. Go to Marcus Gray. Warn him of what's to come if he does not change his ways." Moses and Aaron, his fairy and tech-savvy friend, stepped into towering Grey Corp building. Marcus's office is a massive glass-walled space overlooking the city, an epitome of power and wealth. Marcus leaning back in his leather chair, and he spoke with arrogance. "And what do I owe the pleasure of this intrusion?" Moses replied him, "We are here to demand justice for the workers. Lower their hours, improve their pay, and ensure their safety, Marcus." Marcus burst into laughter, his voice echoing off the walls. "Demand? You think you are in a position to demand anything from me? I own this city, Finch. People like you don't get to tell me what to do." Moses confidently said, "Yes, you may own the city, but you don't own its people. If you refuse to change, catastrophe will fall on you and your empire." Marcus couldn't believe his ears. "Is that a threat, Moses? Get out of here before I have you thrown out." Aaron steps forward, his eyes blazing. "Take his words seriously, Gray. Your greed won't protect you when this city turns against you." Marcus, smirking, gestures to his guards who escort the pair out. Marcus is in his penthouse suite, sipping wine when his phone buzzes. It is his COO, Eleanor. "Sir," her voice was shaky, "there's a problem with the water supply, sir. It is contaminated citywide." Marcus, frowning at this point, he asked, "How did this happen?" Eleanor replied, "We don't know yet, sir, but it is so bad. The hospitals are overrun." Marcus was fierce. Marcus slammed his glass down. "Fix it now, Eleanor, fix it!" Grey Corp City's water supply turned toxic overnight. People woke up to find that their taps spilled red, murky water filled with harmful chemicals. Hospitals were overrun with patients suffering from poisoning, while the factory workers' spring water was the only clean source in the city. Still, Marcus refused to relent. Then, out of nowhere, the skies over New Helos filled with a swarm of malfunctioning Grey Corps delivery drones. They descended upon the streets, crashing into buildings and disrupting daily life. People couldn't move without being bombarded by these metal pests. Still, Marcus refused to listen. Soon after, Grey Corps power grid across the city began to fail in waves. Entire neighborhoods plunged into darkness, leaving homes without heat or electricity. Only the factory workers' quarters, power reserve, remained untouched. The city grew restless, but Marcus again was too arrogant to see the signs. Grey Corps health vaccine brought on a mysterious illness which spread through the city, starting among the wealthiest. Despite their access to the best healthcare money could find, no one was immune. Hospitals were filled with the sick, but only the factory workers who couldn't afford to pay for the vaccines were exempted. After several catastrophes, Marcus' board gathers in Grey Corps conference room. The tension in the room was palpable. One of the board members spoke. The drones, Marcus, the power outages, the diseases, this is beyond coincidence. People are starting to blame us. Marcus replied him indifferently. Let them. We will survive this, we always do. Eleanor, the COO, spoke cautiously. Sir, maybe it's time to reconsider Moses' demands. The workers' quarters are the only ones unaffected. It's uncanny. Marcus glares at her. You sound like you believe this nonsense. Enough. We don't negotiate with threats. The crops and food supplies that sustained New Helos were hit next. Grey Corps' field of genetically modified produce withered overnight, and supermarkets were left bare. Only the factory workers' farms remained stocked, yet Marcus still would not bend. A pack of escaped AI-driven security bots, reprogrammed by Aaron's hacker network, took to the streets, terrorizing the wealthy areas of the city. Though designed to be harmless, their software had been tampered with, turning them into robotic beasts. Still, Marcus clung to his power. Unseasonal wildfires began raging on the outskirts of the city. The fires were so fierce that they even threatened Grey Corps headquarters. The city was suffocating under smoke and ash, yet Marcus believed he would outlast this too. The city is cloaked in impenetrable fog. Marcus is in his office, pacing. His son Daniel enters. Father, he said, frightening, what is happening? It's like the city is cursed. One predicament after the other. Marcus tried feigning up his worries, he said. It's just bad luck. These things happen. Daddy, no, they don't happen, Daniel replied him. Bad luck doesn't plunge a city into darkness for 3 days. What if Moses was right? Marcus grabs his son by the shoulders, his voice harsh. Don't you dare speak that man's name here. I built this city. I will fix this. For 3 days, a thick, unnatural fog enveloped New Helos. The sun didn't rise, and the entire city was plunged into a darkness so deep that people could barely see their own hands. It was as if the city had been swallowed whole. Panic spread, but Marcus refused to acknowledge that he had caused this. With the city already on the brink of chaos, The final blow came in the form of a market crash. Grey Corp stock plummeted overnight, taking down other major corporations in its wake. Banks closed, savings vanished, and the city's economy spiraled out of control. Even Marcus' personal fortune was at risk. Back at their safe house, Moses and Aaron reviewed the effect of each catastrophe. "You were right, Moses," Aaron said, grinning. "The people are waking up. Even the elites are starting to question Marcus." Moses replied him with a serious tone. "It's not about bringing Marcus down. It's about freeing the workers. We are not done yet." Aaron nods his head in affirmation. Aaron wears on a serious look and asks Moses, "Are you sure about this? Should we go on with this next step? It's going to hit him where it hurts the most." Moses takes a second before replying. Looking out the window, he said, "He brought this on himself." Finally, the worst catastrophe came. Something no one could ignore. An unknown force struck down the eldest heirs of the city's wealthiest families, including Marcus' own son. This was the breaking point for Marcus, who had believed his wealth could shield him from any consequence. The loss of his son devastated Marcus. Sitting in his darkened office, he stares at a family photo on his desk. Moses and Aaron enters uninvited. Marcus looks up, his eyes hollow. "You were right, Moses. I thought I was untouchable. I thought my wealth could shield me from anything." Moses stood, replying him confidently. "It is not too late, Marcus. Let the workers go. Give them their freedom, and this city might still have a future." Marcus nods, tears streaming down his face. "Please take them. Take them all. Just go. Just leave me in peace." Moses and Aaron lead the workers through the streets, a sea of determined faces moving toward freedom. As they pass Grey Corp building, Marcus watches from his window, a broken man. Aaron, looking back, asked Moses, "Do you think Marcus will ever change?" Moses replies him, "That's not up to us. But the city has seen what happens when one man forgets his humanity." As the group disappears into the horizon, the city begins to stare, its people left to rebuild from the ashes of Marcus's greed. This story challenges us to examine our own roles in any system of power we might find ourselves, urging us to act with integrity, compassion, and a commitment to justice. Also to know that silence in the face of injustice is complicity. Speaking out against wrongs, even at personal risk, at times is the first step towards transformation. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let me know in the comments. Please do subscribe to Ugochi Tales TV, please, and watch the ads, please. It takes so much to do this story, and the ads really help us to keep going. So keep loving yourself. Bye for now. I love you. Mwah. See you on the next tale.